Did you know that you don't have to cut out your patterns with scissors? The rotary cutter has become a modern sewist staple. Hi, I'm Allie, the literary sewist. Here in my crafting castle, I create projects inspired by the books I read. But today, I want you to hold tight while I show you all of the best practices for using this revolutionary sewing tool. And if you stick around, I'll tell you a secret that the big brands don't want you to know about. My first tip before we get started on anything is to make sure if you're not actually using the blade at the moment, close the cover so you don't end up cutting yourself. If you drop this on your foot or your fingers, believe me, you're gonna be sorry. We want to talk about the things you're going to need to use a rotary cutter. So you obviously have the tool, but you need a couple more things. First, you're going to want a cutting mat. You can use different sizes, whatever you're working for. The larger items that you're sewing or cutting out, like pajama pants, seem to take up a lot of space that you don't expect. You want to have a bigger cutting mat. You can adjust your fabric to do that, but the bigger it is, the easier it is to cut out. So you don't want to start out with like a 6-inch by 18-inch mat and not have any room to cut anything. You'd be going very, very slow. I recommend an 18 by 24 mat. That's what I have here. I actually have a couple of them that are stuck together so that it gives me a little more room. Make sure you get one that is a self-healing mat. This will give longer life to the cutting mat, and you'll be thanking me for that later. Also, a clear plastic ruler of this sort of thing, because this will help you when measuring out rectangles or squares. This is a 6-inch by 8-inch model. It gives you a little more length, a little bit of width, but it's really great and super helpful to have. They do make ones that are smaller and designed for quilting or for patchwork, so lots of variety to check out. I won't go into that now, but something to be on the lookout for. The tools themselves, there are a few different varieties. This one right here is kind of the standard basic Fiskars tool that you can find. This one here is my newest one. I just purchased it on Amazon. I'll have a link in the description below for all of the stuff for you guys so you know what to find. This one has a lock on the side. Let me put that down. This one has a lock on the side. So it tells you can do it, you close it, and you can't squeeze it. This is more for your own safety, especially if you have smaller children in the house or adult children in the house, husbands in the house. We want to make sure that it's safe and we're not going to leave it wide open. So the one thing that's nice about this style is that when you squeeze to cut, when you let go, it covers right up. So you don't have to lock it in place, but you do have the ability. So one extra nice thing. Another nice thing that is good for this is it is right-handed and left-handed. 90% of things are designed for people who have right-handed capabilities. So it's nice to have the option to be able to switch the blade to the other side and use it as left-handed. I do tend to cut with both hands depending on what I'm doing. So it's a really great feature to have, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. The size blade that you see in each one of these is a 28 millimeter. This is kind of the standard average size that you're going to find. There are smaller ones, a 25 millimeter, which is really good for smaller detailed piecing work, for children's clothing, and just those little tight nooks and crannies as you curve around things. There's also a 60-inch version you can get, so a lot bigger than this one, about twice the size. Those are really good for those larger, bigger quilting projects or going through lots of layers of fabric. So what are the pros and cons of using rotary blades over scissors? Pros, they can cut fabric a lot faster. You just kind of zip, 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 zip. They're also really great at taking the pressure off of your hands and wrists. Your scissors kind of give a little extra pressure. There are some spring-loaded scissors you can get, but the heavier weight ones make a lot of pressure on your hands and wrists. As somebody who had carpal tunnel syndrome and just had surgery not too long ago, this is something that's really important to me to have in my sewing tools since it's something I'm doing all the time. Cons. Honestly, I really don't have anything here unless you just simply don't have the space to spread fabric out on the floor or on a countertop, have a special sewing room for it. If you don't have that capability, you might find it easier to use scissors just because of the space. So that's the only con I could really come up with. You do have to replace the blades when they get dull, but you also have to sharpen your scissors when they get dull. So it's just kind of a toss up over which one you want to go with. Personally, I really like the rotary cutters, and I'll use my scissors for the tight nooks and crannies instead of having a smaller blade available to me. I want to show you guys how to use the rotary cutter, a few key points for making it easier, safer, and more effective for you to be using the rotary cutter. Don't do it like this. So most importantly, you want to be standing or leaning above the project itself. You don't want to be low where your arms are up like this. You want to be up and over it. You want to make sure you have a good handshake-like grip onto the actual product itself. So nice, comfortable grip, a little bit firm. All right, let's take a look. Okay, so I have our blade right here, and we don't want to have a loose grip. We want to have a nice firm handshake grip to it. It is closed, so let's go ahead and open it up. I'll unlock it, squeeze, and see how I have it at a slight angle here? You want to have it at an angle and go nice and smooth across like that. You'll give a little bit of pressure, but not too much, just a little bit to push through the fabric. Hold it like this. You're going to end up pulling this muscle right back here on the back of your wrist, and that's not very good or comfortable for you. You want to make sure you're going and putting the most pressure you can with the least amount of force. So make sure you're pushing away from you. It's a little bit safer to do that way. Like on occasion, you might have to, cut back towards you, but do that in smaller bunches. You want to make sure your fingers are out of the way because, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you could end up being very sorry. I have just a couple more things I want to demonstrate for you. If you're using a clear ruler or any ruler of any type and you want to have the blade open, it's helpful to have it locked at this point so you can focus on keeping your ruler straight. Also, you want to have the blade next to the ruler itself. That's why it's important if you're left-handed to be able to switch to the other side, because otherwise you can't get that super close, tight fit next to the ruler. You would just go shoop, just like that. Hold it in place, cut right along the side. So when you flip it over to the other side, it definitely helps. The same principle would apply here if you're using your pattern. You want the blade to be right up against the pattern itself, so you get a nice, smooth cut right on the edge of your pattern. So to recap, you want to be above the project with a firm handshake grip on the blade. Put the blade down at about a 30-degree angle and push away from you, making sure to keep your hands, fingers, toes, all of those things out of the way. All right, question of the day. Do you think you're a little more confident to use your rotary blade now? If you are, give this video a thumbs up. Oh, let's close the blade. Thumbs up. All right, bonus tip time. These blades are interchangeable. The big companies have led us to believe that you have to buy their brand and use their brand replacement tools for your purchase tool. This is not the case. You can actually purchase the same size millimeter blades and put them in other ones. I've used several different styles over the years. I found them to fit just fine in the different tools that I have available to me. There are better blades out there that may not even be labeled as sewing blades. So just look around, try them out. If you've got a 28 millimeter blade cutter, you can replace it with a 28 millimeter blade of a different brand. This one right here is the Fiskars brand that comes with the original Fiskars one that I had. It is kind of a standard steel cutting blade, Honey's Heaven brand that I got when I purchased the new one. I have yet to try the replacements, but they look like they're doing great. What I've been using this one for in the last week or so has been awesome. My personal favorite here for replacement blades is the Arteza Japanese steel. I use a little notches to mark how many I have left. But this gives us a really nice, clean, sharp blade. It also helps last a little bit longer than the standard Fiskars one does. And these look very similar to these. These seem to have a deeper cut like this does. This is a more shallow of a cut. So I think these are going to hold up probably almost as well as these, but this is my personal preference. This is what I've had experience using. I really love these. All of these tools are fantastic and will get the job done. I just like these because they last a little bit longer. So what do you think? Are you going to give rotary blades a try? Let me know in the comments below. Have you tried a particular brand of replacement blade that you really think works fantastic? Let me know. I'd love to hear it. I always like to try different products and see what I can advise everybody else on. So now that you know how to use a rotary cutter, pop on over here and check out some more tutorials so you can have more projects and more ideas for using your rotary blade for. And if you like what I'm doing here, please consider subscribing to my channel and ring the bell so you get notified every time there's a new video uploaded. See you next time!